Let's talk about DC and James Gunn. All right. So, of course we're going to talk about Peacemaker later, but James Gunn was also doing some talks about the video game division with DC, and we have had a big video game announcement right now with DC that we'll get into. So let's start with that first. Let's look at some of that, dude. So, the internet went wild because we finally got ourselves Lego Batman 4 Legacy of the Dark Knight. I think there's even gameplay footage out there now. See, 31 minutes. I'm just going to let this play. Oh, dig. Let me go ahead and switch out to my that way we can just avoid ads. All right. And we can okay, that's great. Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. And then we can look at that gameplay and we can talk about it because there's been new things. All right, so can I say something? Can I say something without the chat getting mad at me? I'm gonna be honest, chat. Do not hate me. This is just me confining in you and letting you straight up how I felt. I never got the hype with the Lego games. I, I'm, I'm sorry. Maybe it because I was not creative enough to own Legos as a kid. You put Legos in front of me, it was either a spaceship or a stick figure tall man every time. Those were the two options. Never pursued anything more. And then I'd always see there's these Lego video games. There's Lego Batman. There's a couple Marvel ones. I know there's a Jurassic Park one. And of course the Star Wars ones, but I'm not even a Star Wars guy. So let's not even begin there. So I was never a Lego video game guy, okay? No hate to you, nothing. I just felt like, why don't you just make it realistic animation? Why does it got to be Lego? What's Just play with Legos if you want that. Why give me a video game with Legos? I'm sorry. All right. I know, I get it. Terrible opinion, L Chris, say it all you want. This Lego game is the first Lego game I genuinely want to play. Uh, and I think it's for all the reasons I've kind of disliked Lego games. This one is basically an Arkham Asylum game in Lego form. And I think that's kind of cool. Look at this fight. They have recreated the actual mechanics for the Arkham Asylum games. You got grapple hooking, you got the gliding, you got the fight combinations. And this is also an open world map, which they just came out right before I went live and said that the map of this Lego Batman game is bigger than the map of Batman Arkham Knight. And that map was huge, dude. That was a big old map. And you'll also be able to ride the Batmobile. Can I get some footage of the Batmobile, please? That'd be awesome. Tell me if there's some Batmobile footage in here. And I just like what they're doing with this in terms of also the story, where they're going to try and mishmash in just different moments of different Batman lore, whether it's Robert Pattinson's Batman movie, Christian Bale's Batman movie, Michael Keaton's, throw in obviously some Arkham Asylum stuff from the comics. I love that idea. I think it sounds great. You're also going to be changing all the costumes. The visuals on this also looks great. Look at those punches. Dude, you know how satisfying that feels holding a control in that vibration? I think that sounds awesome. Also being able to change all the Batmobile stuff. I feel like I don't have any stuff. So let me see if I can look up Batmobile because I want to show that off. Just seeing the actual Batmobile right off in the game looks sick, dude. Just seeing here we go. Gotham looks so beautiful, man. There's You can't get to me. Never has a Lego game looked this gorgeous. Look at that Gotham City, man. I know it's made of Legos and that's a fun aesthetic for some, but that's just a good looking Gotham, dude. I would want Gotham to have this kind of vibrant, dark vibe in the DCU whenever we get to that point, if we ever run to that point. Oh, here we go. And here in the Robert Pattinson Batmobile, he's about to call. Oh, so it just builds and appears. That makes sense. And you know what? This is also going to be another L. I was never even a huge fan of the Lego humor in these video games. There's always this like Lego humor where things are slightly sillier and spoofier. I was just always like, it's kind of cringy. But for this trailer and this world, it was actually working for me. It seemed like a lot of fun. Maybe because a lot of the jokes are just parodying and referencing actual moments in Batman. This whole video is just showing you how terrible of a person I am with terrible taste. I'm sorry, guys. This is just, that's all this is gonna end up being. But yeah, see, unk. It's hit or miss, not gonna lie. The humor, yeah, I'm glad you guys could be honest. But look, I am actually gonna be playing this and wanting to see this game through and all that. So that's cool, right? But this is part of an existing property, right? Lego Bat. There's been 3 of them before. This is a new attempt. They're doing something different, and it's got my attention because I'm telling you, I've never played a Lego Batman game or had interest to. This makes me want to pick up this game. Well, it makes you wonder, dang, I wonder what James Gunn is going to be doing with the future of DC. And he did give a couple of details. So he says, DC head James Gunn teases new future, uh, so- new future for W Games with some bigger things now in early stages. Woo! So here we have it. James Gunn says there's been some slight movement on different things. We have a couple of little DC games coming out, but we also have talked about and in the early stages of planning some bigger things. One thing in particular I'm excited about, but it does take time. There's been some changes in Warner Brothers game, so we're dealing with new people. And reminder, some of these games are going to be canon with James Gunn's DCU. They will be part of the story, and he's saying that they are already in early development with some game that he's very excited about, but we know with video games, they take years. 4 years, I think, minimum sometimes, right? Take a while. Let me see here what else he said. We've seen designs for projects in very early stages. We talked about those. We talked about when they're talking about what the story might be. Well, maybe it says we say, well, maybe you want to go in this way because we're planning on maybe doing something with this character and so forth and so on. So to deal with that, so it is the problem of like, well, he's still trying to figure out when to fit in a character, when to have somebody. I feel like he's got to hear the outcries for like a Superman game, dude. People want some sort of Superman game to happen. It'd be awesome for that to go down. If not, what else do you do, right? I don't think you want to bring back Injustice. I know people want Injustice 3, which I wouldn't mind, another DC fighting game, but I think you do a brand new story. Injustice just fed in to that evil Superman storyline. We're staying with Superman is repairing that image. We're getting Superman back to a hopeful light. I don't think you go to Injustice 3. You don't do something like that. I was even thinking because there's a 3-year gap before we see Superman in the new movie because he's like new to Metropolis and all that. How great would it be if we get a video game of Superman's first time in Metropolis? Just do some sort of story there. I know there was the prequel novel book, but we know that's barely canon or it's not even really going to be addressed. Just something fun that exists there. Same with the Robert Pattinson Batman prequel novel. So it'd be kind of cool to get like a Superman game of like his first times in Metropolis and what that would look like, meeting the Justice Gang, doing all that kind of stuff. That could be cool. If not, I'm trying to think. Superman Begins. A Flash game would be awesome. I just don't know how you work in that mechanics. You see, like Flash and Superman, those games are hard to do because they're such powerful characters and have such overt abilities. How do you make that into a fun playable game? Like Batman is just built with the grappling around, the back cars, the gadgets, the stealth, all that. How do you then do that in Superman when he's supposed to be able to fly across the city in half a second? Same with the Flash. How do you do that mechanic of being super fast in the town when he's supposed to be able, just go across the world in like 2 seconds? How do you make that fun? Yeah, it's the same problem I think sometimes Sonic games have, totally different. But sometimes you'll see a Sonic game that's been created by a fan where they try to make Sonic as super fast as possible, and he's just racing through levels. All this like game development, details, map design, villains appreciated for 1 millisecond while Sonic just zooms by that level. And it's like, this is what a Sonic game should be. I'm like, dude, every level 5 seconds long with Sonic just vroom. I don't know, man. So it'll be interesting to see. It's cool. If I had a guess, I know there was rumors of like a Batman Beyond game. And I know he knows that fans have been begging for Batman Beyond. Uh maybe he's reworked that into actually fitting into his DCU or an Elseworld. But Batman Arkham game, let me see if I can look up the concept art. It was supposed to be with Damian. I think Damian was going to be the this Batman. I don't know how that would have worked out. I would have been open to see it, but maybe something like that could work. I'd still rather get a movie, but I mean, anything Batman Beyond related at this point, I'll take, homie. I'll take. Let me see what some of you guys. Oh, there we go. Green Lantern game? Yes, dude. How would that not be exciting? Green Lantern game would be cool. See, like, I wouldn't mind a Peacemaker game. I think I'm glad Peacemaker is becoming into popularity and he's gaining traction and he's starting to become more well known. I think we don't want to overvalue how popular Peacemaker is because I still just see him as a side character. I don't think if you gave him a movie, a video game, it would sell all that well. It'd do enough if you make it low budget, but I just don't know. Maybe some of the people are going to take. But as like a creator, and this is how I know, as a creator, and I having to pick and choose content, there is a reason the Peacemaker review video is a segment on this live stream and not a full-fledged video on the main channel. Well, this is the main channel, but not a full-fledged video that'll spend hours in details and doing like that. Because the time it'll take to do that will not be worth the investment. I've been looking around. I do my research. Go on there, all the big channels. Heavy Spoilers, Real Rejects. Take a look at the numbers behind the Peacemaker recaps, views. Ain't that big. And I think that's a reflection sometimes of how many people are watching. This is YouTube Business Class 101. So I don't know. That there's some food for thought there. But people just coming and going, co-founder of Riz. That isn't a comment on Real Riz. They're great and they're awesome. I'm just saying that's how I sometimes determine whether to discuss a topic. The only reason I made a War of the Worlds review is because I was like, dang, everybody getting them views. I want some of that pie. And that pie tasted good. Thank you, Ice Cube. That was my Ice Cube impression. Okay, I think that's enough for for talking about the DC futures. I'd love to know from you guys what you think then is in store, what will happen, how excited you are for Lego Batman, all that kind of stuff.